Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's continued coverage of Season 65 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. The playoffs begin here tonight with race number 10. 13 drivers either pointed or won their way into the postseason, and they begin here this first two-race round to try and advance into the round of 8. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman, and Michael, most of the time when we end up having the playoffs begin, usually all the playoff drivers kind of come in with a must-win mentality, because if you win here tonight, regardless what happens next week at Talladega, you're locked into the next round of the playoffs. However, we've had full fields just about all season long. We have another one here tonight. 41 drivers going to take the green flag, so while those 13 drivers certainly would like to win, there's 28 other drivers out there. They don't have the pressure of having to worry about points, having to worry about advancing to the next round. They can go out here in these final 6 races of the season and just try and get that checkered flag. So how difficult is it going to be if you're a playoff contender coming into this evening to balance the aggression of trying to win, but also kind of have to rein it back in big picture race? Because, you know, a third or a fourth place finish, that's great points, aside from maybe a 20th place finish if you're wrecked trying to battle for the win.
Which is, you know, saying a lot of things right there with a lot of people, you know, in a race. It's 1 point per position. So, and it makes it a little bit harder to gain points, but it makes it very, very, very easy to lose points. So, yeah, I mean, this will be the one time where I think a Cody Lamas strategy will come into play. Hang out at the back and miss everything, and then try to be there at the front.
I heard that little crackle in the background. I'll raise you. There we go.
All right, what do we got?
Got A&W cream soda tonight.
That's disgusting.
Actually, it's delicious.
We just have Coke.
You just got Coke? I almost grabbed a Coke, but then I would have had to go down cellar and get it.
I would have had a Sprite, but it wasn't cold enough yet.
Wasn't cold enough yet? How cold can it be?
I mean, I can drink a soda at room temperature, but it being 80 degrees in the house, it would not have tasted right.
Fair. I usually can drink soda at room temperature if necessary. I've actually drinking hot soda before. It's interesting.
I can drink soda, room temperature or cold, but not hot.
I've had hot soda before. It is very, very weird on the taste buds. Anyway, we'll be talking about all of our 13 playoff drivers, their scenarios based off of the playoff points being reformatted. Points positioning at the end of the regular season, and race victories counting into the bonus points that drivers received. Of course, the regular season champion as well. Pat McCarskey gets the pole position here for tonight's first playoff race, and he'll have a playoff driver to his outside in Denny Carroll. Jeff Crivello and Dante Ricky, they'll make up row number 2. Row 3 with John Godfrey and Donnie Garrett. Row 4, going to find debuting driver Robert Spring in the 074 alongside of Cy Jones. Doug Kulik, Robert Breedlove going to complete the top 10. So Carroll's going to be the only playoff contender inside the top 10 starting lineup this evening. You got to go back to row 6 before you find another one. David Cannon on the inside of playoff driver Grant Wesley. Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Going to make up row 7 with playoff contender Jeremy Jeffries. Another playoff driver in Brian Schilling. Actually, 2 playoff drivers back in row 8 with Rodney Sullins to his outside. Mark Paglia, Jessica Shelton back in row 9. Your top 20 completed with playoff driver Greg Palmer and Craig Hagley. Bob Seminaro will be back in row 11 with Richard Martin. Sean Prime, playoff driver, will be alongside of Brian Lovell. In row 13 will be Bobby Farrell alongside of Bob Dixon. Terry Bombard, only driver that got into the playoffs without a victory, I believe. Pointed his way without a victory. I'll double check on that. No, he was the only driver that got in without any bonus points. That's what it was. He's going to make up row 14 with Graham McDonald. Greg Lovell and 2-time winner, playoff driver Tim Nofsker, back completing the top 30. Playoff driver Chuck McClure back in row 16 with Dennis McCarthy. Josh Metallic, another playoff driver with Mike Mangialardi in row 17.
Dennis McCarthy, I'm sorry. That threw me off.
Oh, okay. Bernie Mobbs back in row 18 with Ulysses Sandoval, our regular season champion. His green flag is in the air. Ron Hagelin, Brian Ross, and Billy Elliser, Doug Maluski, and Cody Lamas. The drivers taking the green flag here tonight. I believe we're having actually 40 starters taking the green flag here tonight. Maluski, I believe, was a did not start.
I didn't even hear you say Mike Mangialardi, and I saw him on the grid.
No.
Unless I'm just blind.
Nope, no Mangialardi sighting.
Darn. Now I can't use my mic. I'm having a party.
Yeah, you were working on it on what, Tuesday night?
Mm-hmm.
You were dying to use it here tonight, but you have to wait for next week, I guess. Looks like neither driver that started on the front row are going to lead the first lap. It's going to be Dante Ricky. Around the outside with help from Donnie Garrett, who's going to get the first bonus point of the night. Point standings after they were all put together. Have your 13 playoff contenders coming into this evening, separated by 39 points. Ulysses Sandoval got the most bonus points out of anybody. He ended up getting 30 points for finishing first in the regular season standings. He got 6 extra added points for his 2 victories, and then he got 3 bonus points for being the regular season champion. Holds a 9-point advantage over tied for second, Grant Wesley and Tim Nofsker. 15 points back, Jeremy Jeffries. 21 back, Josh Metalik and Chuck McClure. That is a tie right now for the 5th position. 3 wide middle of the pack towards the rear of the field. Double wide up here amongst the, looks like 8th position back to maybe about 15th, 16th, but single file amongst the top 6.
It's usually when you'll see them break away. The single file will break away more than the double file, triple file, as you can see back there. And I think I see a new STP car back there. It looks like a new scheme on one of them.
That's D-Mart. We haven't seen him a number of races here this season. Saw him make his return to the series a couple of weeks ago. There are actually some new cars in the field here. We're looking at one of them, the highest run of the playoff drivers, Grant Wesley. I guess the alliance with Toyota has been severed as he's now moved over to the Chevrolet Camaro squad on that Quaker State bow tie.
The Chevy Camaro?
The Chevy Camaro, yes. Never forget. He's got some other playoff drivers right behind him there. A trio of them there with Wesley, Jeffries, and Rodney Sullins.
I think their banners are different, right? Or are they all purple? I think they're all purple.
I believe most are purple. Some have the black Xfinity banner, some have the purple Xfinity banner, just depended on what template I guess you downloaded. They're trying to make a third line work up here. Denny Carroll's still on the bottom, going backwards here with Pat McCarskey. They started on the front row together. That's John Godfrey up on that third lane with Graham McDonald. Some playoff drivers behind him, and Tim Nofsker, 2-time winner on the season. Josh Metalik, a former winner this season as well. Or no,
correction. The 44 is side-by-siding just a little bit there.
Yeah, correction on my part. Metalik has not won a race yet this season. I was thinking of Monday nights, actually. Whoa!
Oh, nope, there it goes.
There they go. Oh Godfrey catches air. There's Denny Carroll going up on his side. And Brian Lovell also got some air there as well. You pointed it out, Michael, that 044 was warping side to side. He was in the middle lane.
I don't think that caused it, though. That might have been not the initial start of the wreck, because it happened more towards the front, but I don't believe he was the start of that wreck.
Okay, we'll double check. I thought it was around his vicinity.
It was right behind
after
Jess.
You mentioned it.
It was right behind Jess. It was like the third lane when someone got sideways. I don't know if it could have been bumper grab or just getting loose or a wrong time bump, but it was right behind Jess.
Take a look and see here. A couple of those cars up on the outside line there. Craig Hagley, John Godfrey. I think those were a couple of drivers involved. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, see, it was right before
yeah, you're right.
It's
Rodney
like with the 38.
Sullins got out of shape somehow. There's Mark Paglia, the yellow 28 back there. There's that petty blue 43 you pointed out there of Richard Martin collected. Josh Metalik right there, bottom left of your screen. Yeah, let's see. It was kind of hard to really tell from that angle. Let's see if the chopper cam will tell us what happens here. Rodney was like the last car in the single file formation. Oh, it's like Jess got tight there off the corner, got up into him. Pat McCarskey gets hit. He's down to the inside wall. Oh, wow.
The 44 did flip over.
And he flipped onto the rear deck lid of Robert Spring.
And then there's Cody Lamas, Ulysses Sandoval just creeping on by.
Running at the back. A little PTSD from Tuesday night, maybe.
Right?
Watch the 044 here of Brian Lovell. After his car goes up and over, watch how he, right here after the hit from Metallic, rides right up on the deck lid, hitches a ride there with Robert Spring. David Cannon back there up on the top side of the racetrack, goes around. Brian Rawson may have gotten a piece. Big wreck here, starting up towards the front of the field. Bunch of drivers collected up. We'll have to see. It was kind of hard to tell. There was some pretty significant damage on the right side of Richard Martin. We had a number of drivers catch air, get up onto their sides and whatnot. We'll have to see if any of them are going to be off the pace here on this upcoming restart. As
I know, and I mean, it kind of just looked like hitbox because she was telling me that on her screen she didn't make contact with them, so that could have very well been a hitbox issue.
Looks like Jess is going to be coming down pit road here, second lap though, and that will turn the race lead over, well, maybe to Craig Hagley. I believe that these drivers here have not come to pit road yet. Back to Jeff Crivello. Dante Ricci was the first off of pit lane, so he might inherit the race lead if the top 5 in front of him come to pit lane this time. Take the opportunity here under our first caution to bring you up to speed on what's happening as far as the bracket challenge is concerned. We mentioned last week that Brian Schilling has moved on as the winner of the winner's side of the bracket and is waiting in the wings for his future opponent. We're trying to settle things out.
The Wayner's side of the bracket.
Yes. We're waiting to see who's going to advance on the loser side of the bracket to take him on in either the next to last or the last 2 races of the season, depending on if there has to be a rematch in the season finale. Tonight's matchups are Greg Lovell versus Rodney Sullins. Greg Lovell and Rodney are both in the field. Rodney involved in that last wreck, so we'll have to see if that battle continues on. And this kind of seems apropos. These two were duking it out last week for the regular season championship. They were actually tied for the points lead going into last week's race. Grant Wesley and Ulysses Sandoval taking on each other to see who advances. The winner of Lovell Sullins will face off against Denny Carroll next week. The winner of Wesley Sandoval will face Mike Mangialardi in next week's matchups. So it appears that Jeff Crivello is going to stay out. Everybody else that was ahead of him came to pit road here at the 1 to green. He'll elect the outside line, putting Dante Ricci, the second place car, on the bottom. Donnie Garrett, like Tim Knopfsker, and Brian Schilling, are going to be the top 5.
The best thing you can do on a restart, honestly, is going to be just, you want to restart on the inside because you get the run through the corner, and hopefully it'll be enough to where you can clear the outside and get to the outside off of 2. Trust me, I've been there.
You speaking from experience as a former pole sitter?
Yep.
I don't remember. Where did you? I know I was.
It was here at this track.
Was it this track? That's what I was going to ask. Was it BSR or was it Talladega?
Actually, no, I don't remember. I think it was Talladega because I think my first race was BSR, and then I went to Talladega. I don't remember.
I know it was your second start. That I remember.
It was the second. The second start is the one I got the pole, but I don't remember which track it was. But either way, it's the same for both tracks.
And maybe a little bit more so this racetrack than Talladega, because we'll see most of the time drivers will move up to the middle line off of 2, and we're at Dega. Here, drivers, depending on the situation, depending on the momentum, might actually just stay on the bottom of the racetrack going down the back straightaway. So lap 8 going to be completed. Lap 9 will be on the board. That Dale Sr. throwback, number 36 on that outside line, is the control car of Jeff Crivello. And green flag is waving. We're back underway. There's a big gap from Crivello back to Tim Nofsker. They're lined up better on the bottom. And Donnie Garrett is going to push Dante Ricky almost clear, now clear, through the center of 1 and 2. Yeah, there you see right there, staying down on the inside of the racetrack. Couple drivers going to jump up there to the middle line, including Brian Schilling. Schilling with that AC Delco sponsorship on his Chevrolet.
See what he can do now. Still side by side. The outside lane still going to get the run, though. But here comes trying to go to the outside. I think that's Brian Schilling. And it's got something to go with him.
Yeah, Donnie Garrett moved up there to try and either block or lead that outside line. Schilling went up to the third lane. Crivello going to go with him, but they're going to probably need a little bit more help. It's only those two up there. Long ways back to, I think that's Robert Spring in the 074. And then a lot further back before you get to, I believe that is Dennis McCarthy, if I'm not mistaken, in the 024. Now Nofsker goes up to the third lane. They'll be 3 wide for around third. As Dante gets clear for the top spot, Chuck McClure will move into second place. McClure had maybe the easiest job during the regular season. He got the win in the season opener, automatically locking himself up a spot in the playoffs. Just had to stay in the top 20 in points, and there was a couple of times he actually was outside of the top 12 in the standings, was having to utilize a wild card position, but found his footing last couple of races of the regular season, was able to point his way in, and then utilize the win as a bonus point.
Well, sometimes that's how you got to do it.
I mean, a lot of drivers that we've talked to, they've said it's been hard with the multiple cars in the field every single week to establish some sort of consistency.
Well, it is because you don't really have a lot of place to go when you have a full pack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like me and you, we're used to racing with our group of people that, you know, at most we'll get 10 people to show up, you know, or, you know, somewhere around there. And so that way, and you know, during those races, it's pretty easy to make moves and everything. Not on a racetrack full of 40 people, you know, I mean, look at that gaggle of cars back there. Like, you want to go somewhere, but where are you going to go?
But here's the thing, I would argue, I don't think it matters if you have 10 drivers on the track or 40 drivers on the track. In super speedway racing, it's the one style of racing where you really are not in control of your own fate. You are relying on others to make sure that you're taken care of as well and not going to get caught up in something.
I see something I didn't think I'd see this early in the race. You scroll back. In the 3 wide, you'll see about the third car on the inside lane. It's Cody Lamas. He's not in last place.
This is not the normal Cody strategy. Who is driving his car?
Yeah, right?
He's got a pretty good pusher right behind him there in Grant Wesley.
Yeah, I'm sure Grant's going to get frustrated too, because, you know, Cody really, even though he's on the inside, isn't going to make a lot of moves. And speaking of making a move on the inside, there's Randy Luigi trying to make a move on the inside all by himself.
I love how you made it.
Yes, I know. I gave myself my own
You made
pause.
your own segue on that one. And by the way...
Nice segue.
Yeah, right?
Bed caught Philly paper. Red hot chili peppers.
Ben Dakar, Pat Benatar.
Side eye. Okay, you've made your point.
Speaking of point, thanks for the segue. Terry Bombard, the only driver that made it into the playoffs but didn't carry any bonus points in the reformatted standings. He finished 12th in the standings. Only the top 10 in points ended up getting bonus points based off of their positioning. Terry did not have a win this season as well, so he started off with 500 points even, and that's it. No added bonus points to his total. Right now, the second highest running of the playoff drivers. He's been another one that's been very consistent this season. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. He's been what we call quietly consistent. We haven't necessarily given him his dues because he hasn't been all that flashy. He's been very under the radar, but he's put together the finishes week after week necessary to get himself above that 12th in the standings cut line. And now, this might be the point where we're going to see that bright blue and pink number 10 show out, as now he's going to get a chance to fight for a championship.
I see going through, you see that middle lane holding strong right now.
Looks like everybody that was involved in that wreck, they're all here in the tail end of the lead pack. So looks like they're all up to speed. So that's good news,
Right,
at
there's
least.
nobody falling behind. Yep, okay, good.
Yep, not yet. So that's good news, at least. Nobody with damage bad enough that they're going to be off the pace here and losing the draft. After we had that pretty big wreck there off of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. Inside line trying to get something going. That's Donnie Garrett on the bottom. Donnie, 1 season ago, he was up in the Final Four competing for the championship, was a multi-time winner, had a victory during the playoffs as well. This season, missed out on fighting for the title. And I would say that makes him a little bit more dangerous now, too. Nothing to lose, no championship to battle for. He can be aggressive, just like 28 other drivers that took the green flag here tonight.
Now the inside here he comes.
Robert Breedlove and the 931.
Yeah, but it's still going to be the middle lane. The inside lane will get the run in the corner, but it's going to be the outside lane that gets it off of the corner.
Oh, Billy Elliser!
Oh, I don't think that was necessarily Cody's fault. But instead, he's going down pit road? Or is that just, maybe that's his,
I'm not sure.
That could have very well been assists, maybe?
Could have been. We are not under caution. That was a spin down below the yellow line, so we stay green. I'm not calling that the preemptive commentator's curse. I was totally not going to talk about the good run Billy Elliser was having right then before that happened.
It could be us talking about Cody making his way up to the pack through the pack early for some reason.
I was going to mention though that beautiful James Murray throwback
Cody,
there.
And this is what happens when Cody Lamas comes up through the field early instead of running at the back. Now he's really at the back.
It was all part of the plan. Well, now he and Billy Elliser, they are going to be hoping for a caution to save them here as we are deadlocked for the race lead here. Ricky on the top, Breedlove on the bottom. Give that lap lead to the 931.
2 lucky dogs, for a caution. So if they get lapped, that's going to be both of their lucky dogs.
True. Cody Lamas, looks like scoring showing he got a black flag. That would have been for
coming
out of pit road. Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to get cleared or if he'll have to serve that or not. If he has to serve it, that's definitely going to lose him a lap right there.
Maybe more, actually.
See the skid marks right there, and car never officially went around until they were down below the yellow line, which is why we're still green flag racing.
Do you want to take a moment to go back and look at it?
Do we dare?
I mean, I can't save you if there's an actual wreck
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. We're getting 3 wide here now. We kind of pretty much caught it live when it happened. If we end up having a yellow win and we remember, we may go back and take a look at it here. But I think right now we need to keep an eye on what's going on here.
I just saw somebody drift up, but I think that was just them changing lanes, but still.
Chuck McClure is now gone from the bottom all the way up to the top, picking up Tim Nofsker and Brian Schilling. Look how that middle line has lost so many cars.
Oh, yeah.
That has turned into the proverbial sucker hole now. Usually that middle line is the preferred line, but not when you're 3 wide. That's when you start drifting backwards. And Dante Ricky, who about a lap and a half ago was side by side with Robert Breedlove for the top position, he's already now dropped out of the top 10. Grant Wesley's now moved up into 3rd. Terry Bombard there in 5th. Nice recovery for Denny Carroll. I believe he's in the 7th position right now on that inside line. Saw him starting the outside of the front row, kind of faded back as he was getting freight trained on the inside line on the first run. Now making his way back up into the top 10. Still 3 wide further back. Here comes Jeff Crivello to pit road, and this is a regularly scheduled stop for the 36. Remember, he stayed out under our only caution to this point. So he has to make a pit stop here for fuel. For everybody else, they're going to be able to go about another 6 to 7 laps before they're going to have to start making preparations for trips to pit road. Also, by the way, while we're
another
setting
segue?
up... No, but while we're setting up for broadcast, do not think that we are not observing things that happen in practice. We saw that Grant Wesley is apparently now a certified car napper. We saw him stealing side Jones off of pit road.
Oh yeah, yes we did. It was a little disturbing.
Just a bit. We didn't know that the battle between Sunoco and Quaker State ran that deep.
So I have no idea. Did they clear Cody's black, or did he have to serve it? Because I see him about to get lapped. The question is he 1 lap down already, or is he going to be 2?
Black flag was cleared.
Okay.
Black flag was cleared. He is going to go, as you said, going to go a lap down here under green. This is due to him losing all that ground with the spin off of 4, but the black flag was cleared.
Well, maybe he'll be able to...
Oh, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, stay down, please.
Go down below the yellow line if you have to.
I'll say he needed to.
Oh,
but
my gosh.
maybe Cody will be able to kind of link up with the back of this pack here and stay in it. But right now, he's also got to stay above the that car there, the 38. Now to get one of the two, especially if they lap the 26.
It's a good point. Very good point.
So he needs to get in line right now.
Let's see where Elliser is in relation to the leaders right now. Leaders at the start-finish line. Elliser's making his way through 1 and 2. So they'll probably catch him. I don't know if they'll catch him before they have to come to pit road, but it'll be close. It'll be right around that point. I'd say in the next 3 to 4 laps, they'll probably catch him, as there's about maybe a straightaway separation between them. Oh, movement back there. I don't know if that was a little chain bump going on. Nofsker, Schilling, Jeffries getting a little squirrely on that outside line. Grant Wesley's now moved up there to the top side, trying to get pushed to the front. He'll get himself a lap-led bonus point there. His first lap-led of the night. Double checking here right now. I believe he is the first playoff driver to lead a lap here this evening. Yes, he is. All the other 5 previous drivers that have been out in front, all non-playoff contenders. Oh my gosh, they are shoving down this back straightaway. That side-to-side movement gets me nervous every time.
Well, that's what they do. It's what you got to do to even make any type of moves or progress here.
It's about maybe 3-4 laps away from these drivers having to come to pit road. Shout out to our broadcast colleague Kyle Matthews, not able to make it here tonight. He's at work, but we'll hopefully have him in the booth next week for our first elimination race of the season. And good to have Michael safely get off the wing of the airplane he was on earlier on tonight as well.
Hey, I can get right back on it.
You could. You definitely could. But just through the inside joke for people that don't know, he had a fan blowing on him, and yeah, he was in a hurricane.
Because my house hit 80 degrees in temperature, even with our AC going.
In
that's
Florida?
Just how hot.
Never. It's so cool down there.
Yeah, that's just how hot it gets here. And so yeah, I had the fan blowing directly on me, which it's a very powerful fan. It's meant for people who like work in like houses with like no AC and stuff.
It's like one of those big industrial fans, isn't it?
No. It's a powerful fan. It's a little I want to try to feel like our next door neighbor gave it to us when our AC went out one time. It's a fan that when you're working in houses on the inside of houses after they're just built and everything, doing refurbishments and things like that, and you don't have any AC or can't run the AC or stuff like that. It's those types of fans that get the air circulating in the house/room.
Oh.
So it's an industrial fan, but not one of those big huge ones. But yeah, anyways, long story short, I was in a hurricane or holding on to top of one of these race cars because I just love the sport so much.
Want to get as close to the action as you possibly can.
I'm holding. You know those onboard cameras you see when you ride on the roof? Yeah, that's me.
Well, hang on tight, whoever's roof you're on right now, because this could get very interesting. We got Bob Seminara going through the grass.
I don't know if he made the commitment cone or not.
I would be shocked if he did.
And the 88 locked it up coming on the pit road, so.
Saw Mike Mangialardi. Wait, was that Mike Mangialardi? Wait, am I?
Oh, wait. Oh,
I'm blind. Mangialardi is in the field.
I am so glad I was right the first time, and
you are so glad that I was wrong the first time.
Yep.
Wow, how did I not see his name? It was literally above our name in the grid.
Because you're blind and old.
I am.
You know, it's funny. We didn't even talk about green flag pit stops here. We were just talking about random stuff, and it just
I
happened.
did talk about green flag pit stops.
Oh, well, you know, I'm
You were
deaf.
so focused on your fan.
You're,
So I'm blind, you're deaf.
Yep.
Together we're a perfect pair. So the Seth Cole says to Michael, Michael, I can't see anything. Michael's response, what?
Michael's response, huh?
What'd you say?
No, Michael's response, huh?
What?
The old guy. No, it's the old guy. Huh?
Huh?
I forgot what the hell I was selling.
Alright, calm down there. Dr.
Nope.
Whatever his name is.
No, it was Ryan Stiles.
Well, I know that, but he was trying to... Oh, we got a caution, actually. Yellow's out. He was...
I know, he was trying to pretend, oh, we got a caution.
what's his face from Back to the Future? That's who he was pretending to be.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Christopher Lloyd.
Well, it's Emmett Brown, but Christopher Lloyd.
Emmett Brown, that's who it is, yeah. Caution out here. They had frozen field, and it'll be interesting to see because we had a number of drivers coming off of pit road.
Yeah, and Ulysses did this last time. So those cars coming off of pit
road.
Oh,
Randy!
Luigi. And the one spun out too.
Jeremy Jeffries as well.
Those cars coming off of pit road, if they were not lapped crossing the line, that's where they crossed the line, staying on the lead lap.
Well, is it a matter of
where it's going to be?
Well, that's the thing, right? Is it where they crossed the line since it's that close to the start-finish line, or is it going to be where
I know this
they
is
were at the time the caution flew?
This is going to be a difficult question because I think when Ulysses did it last time, they were within the 10 lap to go race back.
True. Yep, I think you're right.
So I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
John Godfrey stayed out the longest of everybody here.
He's probably clutching. Like, yeah.
Hang on, hold on.
I can't hear. I don't have sound.
Still
I mean, I
under
do.
Power,
but...
and there he is, shutting it off. Back under power. He should be able to make it to his stall from here, I would think. Let's see, what stall does he have? He started 5th, so he's got to make it all the way down pit road. But he'll come down. That should turn the race lead over, I think, to Tim Nofsker, who was just leaving pit lane there.
Probably, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken...
That tells you that it's... Because, I mean, if you think about it, technically they were in their spots when the caution came out where they crossed the line.
That's the thing, though. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because there were, like, 2 or 3 drivers that were ahead of McClure when the caution came out. If you're on pit road, coming off of pit road, and some of the leaders or the other drivers that are on the racetrack are bypassing you, how do you figure out where you are in relation to those drivers? I think this is what brought the caution out. An engine failure for Bernie Mobbs in the Citgo Chevrolet. Looks like he's already in trouble at this point. Keeps it down on the apron. Saw him come up the racetrack a little bit there in the center of 1 and 2. And I'm pretty sure this is the reason that the caution came out. I didn't see any smoke lingering anywhere. So mechanical failure going to bring out this second caution of the night. And at a very interesting point where just about everybody was either getting up to speed or completing their service here on our first cycle of green flag pit stops. This is also a big break. I think the only driver I saw that ended up getting a black flag for speeding on the telemetry was Brian Rawson. I believe that Robert Spring and David Cannon had to come back down pit road a second time. There you see them just ahead of the race leader. So this caution is going to save a number of drivers that either could have gone a lap down or may have lost a lap having to serve a pass-through penalty. Now they can serve that penalty here under caution and just have an EOL, but they'll be up still with the lead pack. And scoring shows Pat McCarskey, Cody Lamas as the first 2 cars 1 lap down of 3-lap machines, so they would be the free pass drivers. Now we got the 74 and the 003 coming down pit road, so maybe they're the lucky dog drivers. We'll have to figure this one out here. It all depends on the timing of the caution and where everybody was. Robert Spring making his debut here tonight. I was going to ask you, as a former Ohioan, got an Ohio State Buckeyes representative livery here tonight.
I mean, you got me too.
That's what I was saying.
Oh.
Got some drivers towards the tail end of the field coming down. Maybe going to top off the fuel tank here. Looks like we're going to have our entire top 5. Yeah. All going to be playoff contenders here with Nofsker, Bombard, Schilling, Metallic, and Sullins. The top 5. Again, a reminder to everybody, this is the first race of the playoffs. Eliminations do not take place till next week, when we'll be at Talladega Superspeedway. 13 drivers began this journey. Only 8 will move on. Next week's elimination race, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, next Thursday night here on FRN.
On Fern.
By the way, was checking our YouTube chat here, and when you were talking about your air conditioner, got Al Sullins in our chat saying that his went out yesterday. And he said that he had to get 2 window units, and apparently it cost $69,000. Or no, $6,900.
Wow. Those are some powerful wall units if that's the case. Holy cow.
It's also a very nice number.
Yeah.
Al also said boo on the Ohio State car, and he said go with the Alabama car of Randy Waugh.
Luigi. But, I mean, Ohio State. I'm an Ohio fan. So Ohio State's the only good team in our entire state.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how annoyed would you be if I called it Ohio?
It'd probably be like a 12, and then I'd punch you in the face.
It's a risk I'm willing to take.
So it's a good thing you're all the way up there.
Oh,
look at our lap down. Look at our lap down cars. Is Cody and them still a lap down too?
I believe so. So yeah, the 074 and the 003, Spring and Cannon, they're the free pass drivers.
Oh
so
man,
Elliser, Lamas,
be
and
a big bummer.
will be the lap down machines here on this restart.
Oh, now Cody's just hoping everybody wrecks.
There's the lights out. We'll get ready to go back green. We gave you the top 5. Take you through the top 10 with Mark Paglia restarting 6th, Doug Hulick in 7th, Greg Lovell 8th, 9th will be Graham McDonald, and Donnie Garrett is going to complete the top 10. 39 drivers still running. 36 will be on the lead lap here. Only 1 driver out of the race due to our most recent caution. Mechanical failure, engine valve, we're being told. The reason for Bernie Mobbs, and someone else has just had a moment here. We're going to cut back real quickly because one of our playoff drivers just had an issue.
Really?
Greg Palmer in the 22, former winner on the season, playoff driver, with a mechanical problem here as his car comes to a stop through the tri-oval. This was coming to the 1 to green. Right there. Car just shuts off. No visible smoke, but it looks like the diagnosis here is an engine header going south on that number 22 Chevrolet, and that's a playoff driver right there. That is not what you want. We talk about drivers looking for the luxury of winning tonight to get locked into the next round. Last thing you want to do is have a DNF here tonight and go into next week in a must-win situation to be able to advance, and that might be the case for Greg Palmer, who came into this one, I believe, out of the 13 playoff drivers in 8th. So he would have been right on the cut line, so to speak, and now obviously he'll be below that going into next week at Talladega as the green flag is back in the air.
Wait and see how it goes when we get to the restart here. So inside, always good, and then I see the middle lane's going to start to come up in the end. And is there any way that you can counter the outside's momentum, other than the outside lane having a bad start?
I don't think so. I think that, the only way I can think of, and we've seen this tactic used, not as much here at this racetrack, but we've seen it used at Talladega, is where you kind of crowd that middle line up and you try sharing the middle line. We've seen it where they've run double wide in between the two sets of white hash marks. I think it's a little narrower here at Burt Screwdriver's Raceway than it is at Talladega, so I'm not sure if that's as much a viable option here, especially with the hitbox issues we've seen here with the NXS 20 mod here this season. Brian Lovell moving down there on the apron, starting to fade back. I'm not sure if this is a strategy call for that Corvette, or we did see him go up and over in the first wreck tonight, so I don't know if he's one of those cars that has to just run in the draft, may not be able to lead a line. He's trying to get back to a safe spot here to do just that. This is Sandoval making a move up there 3 wide. I haven't really mentioned his name much tonight. He's kind of been riding at the back most of this race, the regular season champ. Up there with Jessica Shelton. Bob Seminara there in the 712. That caution saved him. Remember, we saw him going through the grass during the green flag pit stop cycle. Greg Lovell in the 880, one of the drivers that's in the battle here tonight in the bracket challenge, taking on Rodney Sullins. Rodney is just a couple cars up ahead of him right there in the 38, making a move to the top side for second place on Brian Schilling, who moves up to cover. Nofsker does the same.
Middle lane now finally getting on. This is where they're going to settle in now, but the inside lane does have a little bit of momentum through the corner.
Yeah, now we're side by side with Lovell and Sullins, who are battling to see who's going to move on to face Denny Carroll next week in the next round of the bracket. Grant Wesley and Ulysses Sandoval. Let's see, where's Ulysses? There he is. I think they're pretty close to almost being side by side as well. 3 wide with Terry Bombard in the middle. Those two facing off to see who's going to face Mike Mangialardi in next week's round of the bracket challenge.
Inside middle lane is dissolved.
Here's the 88, and there's the white 96 to the outside. Whoa, Paglia might have brushed the wall there off the tri-oval. That bright yellow machine third on that outside line. And now we're going to be 3 wide. Sullins has moved up to the top. Nofsker and Schilling stuck in the middle, all by their lonesome. Maybe a couple car lengths back to Graham McDonald, but he's got no help either. It's going to help the inside line here as Greg Lovell goes to the point. Donnie Garrett into second. Randy Wall into third.
Luigi.
Jeremy Jeffries. We saw the 21 and the 1 kind of spun around there on the back straightaway after the caution came out during the conclusion of those green flag pit stops. Good recoveries for both of those drivers now up inside of the top 5 as Jeremy moves up to the top line with Dante Ricky.
I'll say now the inside lane's gonna go. Can the 43 get up there and kind of help with that? I guess we'll find out when they get off the corner here. We'll see the middle lane get the run, but there still is a third lane back there.
Obviously there are teammates, there are alliances and everything here in this series as well. You gotta wonder, how many of the playoff drivers took the opportunity to approach any of the 28 drivers in the field tonight that are not battling for a championship and said, hey, any chance they'd be willing to work with me, push me to a win, get me an automatic lock into the round of 8? I mean, we've seen a number of these playoff drivers. They've been able to find some people to work with here, and see Dante Ricky seemed pretty committed to jump up there with Jeremy Jeffries. So maybe a little alliance right there going on to maybe see if Jeremy can find his way into the round of 8, looking for his second championship here in this series.
Ooh, I hate when they move around so much off these corners.
I'll tell you two drivers that really worked their way up here to the front quickly, and that's Jessica Shelton and Bob Seminara. They were back around 17th and 18th, 3 wide, about 3 laps ago. They're now about to break the top 10 there. 6th and 7th on that outside line. A couple other drivers we have not mentioned much here tonight of our playoff contenders. Sean Prime. Saw him up in that third lane, but quite a ways back. Really haven't talked a whole lot about Josh Metallic outside of him restarting on that last restart up here inside of the top 5. Haven't seen much of that McLaren throwback Chevrolet.
Oh! Okay, I saw the 21 real sideways off that corner. 4-car breakaway in the middle lane, but now here comes the inside once again.
3 drivers out of the race.
Only 3?
As of right now, yep, David Cannon just came to pit road
Ow!
and retired from the event.
Oh, wonder if something happened.
Not
I
sure.
just banged my knee against the desk here, so apologize for that sudden ow.
Is the desk okay?
Yes, but my knee isn't. I need workers' comp. I need to call Matt Rudd.
Matt Rudd needs workers' comp after what he had happen to him last night.
What happened?
Got loose off of 4 and had an adventure over the Legends course in the infield at Charlotte.
Was you on the microphone at that time?
Oh, yeah. I just hear, oh boy, immediately cut back to his car and just see him bouncing through the infield. Yeah, we had an interesting one last night. It was fun. Had 2 driver commentators with Scott Rankin and Matthew Rodriguez, and it was a long one too. It was a 260 lap race at Charlotte, but it was a lot of fun. Not fun for Randy Wall right now.
Luigi.
So he's stuck up there in that third line with no help. Comes Doug Hulick on the inside line. Former winner in this series, got his first career win at this venue back in the season that this racetrack debuted on the schedule. Ended up catching a very timely caution that ended the race under yellow. He just had to make it a few hundred feet from his pit stall to the start-finish line to pick up that victory. Looking strong here in that number 23, leading the inside line. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers, I believe, of our playoff contenders right now inside of the top 10. Maybe 6, maybe 7, depending on where Grant and Josh are right now. They might be just outside of the top 10, around 11th and 12th.
I think Grant. Nope, that's just. I'm trying to see where he's. No, Grant. Yeah, probably just outside the top 10. He's on the inside there, behind the 43.
We went back green at the conclusion of lap 32. We're able to make it the rest of the way on one more pit stop, and that final pit stop right now, if we're going all the way on this run, is going to be somewhere in the next 10 laps. We're about halfway through a fuel run. That would put us around 14 to go, so you're absolutely going to have to take on a can and a half of fuel here on the final pit stop to make it to the conclusion. So far here tonight, fastest lap laid down by outside pole sitter Denny Carroll. 47.680, equating to 200.644 miles per hour.
Dennis Carroll, as well as when you called the other guy Dennis, I was like, oh, wait a minute. That threw me off for some reason. Oh, Jess just got put 3 wide.
So she tried to make a move there. No takers up in that third lane. Tucks back in behind Dennis McCarthy. The irony, you talk about him, and there he is.
I feel like he didn't. Why do I feel like he was never called Dennis?
Who?
I remember the McCarthy, but never. Yeah, I don't know why.
Are you maybe getting McCarthy and McCarsky confused?
Maybe, yes. I think I am.
About 7-8 laps away from when they're going to have to pit. And you see that middle line all of a sudden became the inside line. Jeremy Jeffries moves down to the bottom. Everybody snakes their way down there with him.
Getting close, yep, like you said, getting close to pit stops again, and depending on when it is, might put them in the window to make it to the end.
Yeah, they should be able to. They'll have to pit probably around 15 to go. Jeremy, of course, will have to pit a little bit sooner than some of the others behind him, as he's been out in front for a good portion of this run.
I don't think so. I think when you're out running, you're probably maybe a lap. You have to pit 1 lap. I wouldn't say sooner. Well, you know what? Never mind. Don't listen to me. I'm having a moment. Yeah. I realized that halfway through my sentence, it was like I just need to shut up now.
Dante's led the most laps so far here tonight. 11 circuits out in front. He's the only driver that's led double digits so far here in this race. Jeremy could join that club if he leads the next 4 laps here. Oh, and a clarification, it was $6,900 for new split unit, not the window units.
Okay, for the actual AC unit. Yeah, I can imagine.
I think we've only got 1 air conditioner running in my house.
Well,
but I believe
you also know how much of an icebox we keep our house in.
I do. I literally had to wrap up in a blanket when I stayed at your house in February.
Not because of outside weather.
No.
And then we actually kept the B&B, me, you, and Dylan stayed out pretty cool, too.
Did we?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
You're talking about the one in Kissimmee?
Yeah. It was not like cold, but it was cool enough like we weren't dying.
I don't remember what the temperature was. Whatever it was, it didn't bother me. I know that much, so. That's Robert Spring, just up ahead of the race leaders here. He is on the tail end of the lead lap, but he won't be for long. And that will then put him back in the conversation of battling with Cody Lamas, Pat McCarskey, and Billy Elliser, who are still trapped a lap down.
Oh, why are you not getting out of the way?
That could have been bad.
My only argument will be that technically as a lap car you don't have to. It's just a common courtesy thing. As here comes pit, and now he's coming to pit road with everybody else.
That might be why he chose the inside line there. The only thing I would say too is, well, if he communicated to the cars behind him that he was going to stay low, then that's one thing. If he didn't give them any information of what line he was going to run and kind of had them guess, that's not great. Oh, no!
Oh!
Bob Dixon and Brian Lovell getting together here. That's Bob Dixon's pit stall right there that he was turning into, and now he clips Brian Lovell. I don't think they're going to service that car backwards. Don't want to get disqualified either. Bob Dixon's had a great week here. A couple of road course races.
Get it out of the way here soon, because I'm sure another round of cars are coming down.
He's going to get to his stall here now. But this past week, ooh, Cy Jones got a little bit of a shove there. I think he saved it.
I think so too, and he didn't. I don't think he hit anything either.
Ooh, man. Oh, well, he's around. So either he spun out after maybe bouncing off the Armco wall.
Oh, maybe he did. Maybe maybe he did hit something.
Yeah, maybe. Not sure. Going back to Bob Dixon, though, was looking to cap off a great week here.
Cody Lamas was probably screaming, "Let there be a caution!"
Bare Bones Racing Series, they ran at Sonoma Monday night. Bob Dixon picked up the Challenger win there, and then Wednesday night, the Aero 88 Series ran at Watkins Glen. Dixon picked up the Challenger win there.
Luigi Kinsglen?
No. Ooh, Sandoval and Shelton nearly door banged. Oh, Ulysses almost got turned by Dennis McCarthy as well. Now it's a matter of traffic control.
A lot of people just getting bullied out there.
Yeah.
If Cody Lamas with like the last pit stall.
So that's going to be the final pit stop of the night here, outside of coming down to repair any crash damage. Another driver out of the race, Brian Lovell. Saw him have the contact with Bob Dixon on pit road, so he'll finish in 37th. Now it's a matter of, did everybody get onto pit road safely? Did they get it down to pit road speed? And Then the execution coming off of pit road. There's Bobby Farrell back there in the 92. Looks like he's coming back down pit lane. So he might have gotten hit by the speeding police there in that Air Force Dark Horse Mustang. Chuck McClure, the car up to speed here. Drivers coming off of pit road ahead of him. Let's see if Chuck can cycle his way to the front here. They're trying to get organized with those drivers that just left pit road. A couple of Toyotas hooked up there with Dante Ricky and Ulysses Sandoval.
Is there anybody in front of them?
I don't believe so. I think this is the battle for the lead right here.
Ulysses, after almost getting spun like 3 different times coming into pit road, came out second of that group.
Oh, Rodney Sullins, black flag for the 38.
Oh, he's just now trying to take the lead, isn't he?
No, he's fourth on that outside line right now.
Okay, that was the one. I thought that was... I'm used to the 38 being the Earnhardt throwback.
He's trapped up there on the top side, too. He's going to have to find his way down to the bottom, be able to get to pit road. There's Craig Hagley, who stayed out an extra lap, just now leaving pit road, completed his service.
There he goes. He got to the inside.
He got to the bottom. That's not going to be a good points night for him. Another of our playoff drivers here. This was the money stop. This is the one you had to execute. You could not make a mistake on. With the 38 coming to pit road, we're going to have about, I believe, 16, 17 drivers in this lead pack back to Robert Breedlove in the 931. Then a long ways back there to Craig Hagley, Cody Lamas, and Dennis McCarthy. I believe we're across the threshold where any yellow is raced back to the start-finish line. And there's going to be some traffic that these leaders are going to deal with here as well. Some stragglers. There's Bob Dixon, Cy Jones, Ron Hagelin all by themselves. Bobby Farrell there as well. Race continues to run green. They're going to get reeled in pretty quickly here by this lead pack that officially consists of 17 drivers. Of the playoff drivers, you've got Chuck McClure, who's right now going to edge out for the race lead. Tim Nofsker, Ulysses Sandoval, Jeremy Jeffries, Brian Schilling, Josh Metallic, all up inside the top 10 right now. Just outside the top 10, but in this lead group, Sean Prime and Grant Wesley. And then for the other playoff drivers right now, it looks like Terry Bombard scored back in 24th, Denny Carroll in 25th, Rodney Sullins after the pit stop in 28th position.
What about updated on our lap cars?
Right now, add in Bob Dixon now, so 5 lap machines. Dixon, Cody Lamas, Robert Spring, Pat McCarsky, Billy Elliser. Right now, Dixon and Lamas would be the 2 lucky dog drivers should we get a yellow, but there's going to be more drivers here momentarily that are going to get reeled in. Next on the list, that's Sunoco Ford of Cy Jones.
And that's just more cars for Cody to have to pass.
Well, the problem now, if you're Cody Lamas, Billy Elliser, Pat McCarsky is, I believe that the 48 is back in this group, as is the 074 of Robert Spring. You need this second pack to catch the first pack, because anybody that the lead group is catching is being able to drop to the tail end of this pack here. Bob Dixon just did. Cy Jones will be able to do so as well. So they're able
This
to
is the
tuck
main
in
pack
line.
right here.
Exactly. So they're able to tuck in line and be those first cars 1 lap down with a gap back here to this group that has the 074 and the 48.
That needs to get organized.
Looking at lap times real quickly here, they're kind of similar between the first pack and the second pack. If Jeff Crivello can latch on to the slipstream of Cy Jones, he could tow this group of about 8 up into that group.
Yeah, he really could.
48.465 for him as the leader of that group. This group up here, 48.395.
Well, we'll see what it's like when they cross the line.
Yeah. Ron Hagelin going to go a lap down there as well.
That's another car that Cody's going to have to need to pass.
It's also another car, though, that maybe...
There's just a line of cars now at this point.
Yeah.
Who else is after the 92?
Rodney. All by himself on the back straightaway. Next time by, 10 laps to go. Again, remember, for a lot of these drivers...
Sponsored by Credit 3 Bank.
Yes. No, Credit 10 Bank. But remember, for a lot of these drivers up here, a lot of these playoff contenders, you win tonight, you're locked into the next round of the playoffs. You can go into Talladega next week worry-free, knowing that you're at least going to be in the round of 8. For the other drivers here as well, though, if you're a playoff contender and you're in the hunt for this victory, how much are you willing to risk? How aggressive are you willing to be? We've already seen a number of drivers have some issues here tonight that are going to be going into next week's elimination race, potentially in a must-win situation. Greg Palmer with the mechanical failure. Rodney Sullins with the pit road miscue. Terry Bombard, Denny Carroll have obviously had some issues on pit road on that final pit stop as well. They're not going to reap a whole lot of points here tonight. Are you willing to risk giving up a potentially top 5, top 10 finish to make a move for the victory, an automatic lock into the next round, and run the risk of maybe finishing this race outside of the top 20?
Oh, you've got to try. Who was that in third?
The yellow car, Paglia.
Oh, isn't Mark Paglia? Okay.
Yep.
I don't know why. I feel like I'm not used to seeing Mark in the yellow car. All these new schemes are throwing me off.
I think he's run this game for most of the season.
Well, you know what? I never said I was smart, okay?
I thought we established I was the blind one, though.
That's why I said smart. I never said not. I never said blind. I said smart.
Oh, okay.
Both of us are just 2 edges short of an Ed and Eddie.
2 fries short of a Happy Meal. Michael's the taller one.
I'm the biggest fry.
There's Rodney going a lap down there.
I think the other pack's caught up.
Have they? Well, by George, so they have.
Oh my god, don't say that ever again. Wait, where's Cody Lamas in this pack?
Not in this pack.
What happened?
I don't
What in
know.
the world happened to him? Now it makes me wonder if something happened to him. Maybe it was lag, like he says he never has.
Wow, calling him out.
Of course. All right, Seth, it's time. So we gotta check in and see who Surratt is gonna pick to win this race.
I don't know if we've got Milt with us here tonight. He hasn't chimed into our chat.
Okay, well then, who do you got?
No.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
Pick a car.
I will not pick a car.
Okay, I'm picking Cody Lamas.
The ultimate strategy.
He's got this race. Everyone just lags out except for Cody.
I mean, he says he never lags, so it would hold true.
Exactly.
Sean Prime trying to make something happen there on the bottom.
Look at Ulysses up here trying to make a move too.
Yeah, we saw him move from bottom to top a couple of laps ago. Right behind him, Brian Rawson, who started 38th. Good run for him here tonight.
Jessica's about 3 cars behind them on the outside lane there. She's trying to move up. Metallic's up here.
Right now,
Grant Wesley's stuck back there. You know, usually we see him king of the pit stops. But then again, it was green flag pit stops too.
Right now, looking at the bracket battle, you'll see Sandoval would eliminate Grant Wesley. Greg Lovell would eliminate Rodney Sullins as things currently stand.
Is there like 2 battles per race?
Yes. What you mean, two races per round?
No, I'm talking like the battle bracket series. Like,
well, we're in the quarterfinals of the loser's side of the bracket right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Got the inside lane with Randy Waugh coming up. Look at this.
I just saw the 41 leave the team speak. And yeah, he's retired out of the race. Denny Carroll. That's another of our playoff drivers gone.
I wonder if maybe something happened between him and Cody. Maybe that's why Cody lost the pack.
I don't know, but whatever the case, that's another driver that's more than likely going to be going into next week in a must-win situation
Ooh,
as
you
Chuck
got to be
McClure.
careful with these blocks, because if I was at 21, I would not have lifted.
Now remember, too, Chuck McClure's got a lot more to lose than Randy Waugh does.
That's why I said if I was Randy Waugh, I wouldn't have lifted.
Chuck goes back up to the top.
Oh, now here comes the 21 with his bumper to the inside, and there's a third lane forming. You know what that's going to do.
Randy got a good push there from Sean Prime down the back straightaway.
This time around, Seth, it should be a point of no return.
Well, is it? With the new EXC,
no,
is this
it will
point
be.
of no return now?
It is?
It is?
Okay. Yeah, because if they hit 63, they'll race back to 64, and you cannot put in that. Once you hit 65, you cannot put that code in.
Okay. So next flag will end the race here. 3
wide
around 7.
Oh,
there they go. That's the whole field.
Oh, my Lord.
We're racing back.
Oh,
we
my
got
gosh.
cars up and over in the catch fence.
Well, Dante still has a shot.
He does. So does Jeremy. So does Brian if they can draft up quickly enough.
If I was 84, I'd like let off just a little bit to try to get the one that race up to me. Oh, he's gonna have a run. Which way is he gonna go with it?
Oh, he goes low. Chuck goes to block. Jeremy's gonna go up top 3 wide. Oh, this is gonna be close.
Momentum.
This is gonna be close.
17's got it.
Yes, he does. Barely.
Oh my Lord, that was absolute. And I was really hoping for Randy Waugh right there, but he just got bumped in the wrong spot. I can guarantee that was because he got bumped going into the turn.
Chuck McClure gonna pick up the victory, his second on the season. He won the season opener to lock himself into the playoffs. He wins the first playoff race to lock himself into the round of 8. Tentatively, we still have 2.5 laps to complete here before this race is over. Jeremy Jeffries crosses in second, third place for Dante Ricky, and there's a bunch of drivers that aren't even going to reach the start-finish line to close this out. Sean Prime, Mark Paglia, Bob Seminara, Jessica Schultz, and Craig Hagley already retired.
Where did Grant Wesley and Ulysses Sandoval cross?
Ulysses unofficially 13th, Grant unofficially 16th.
Oh, well, there's that bracket right there.
There's that bracket, yep. Greg Lowell was in that wreck.
You want to
stick with in 18th, but Rodney was a lap down.
We're going to have another 2 laps here. Do you want to go back and look at it real quick?
Yep, we'll do just that. That was
I don't see them
wreck.
with lap down cars. Wow, and Randy still somehow managed to finish 14th?
He doesn't look like he's got a whole lot of damage.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Oh, was that Paglia?
I think it was.
It's Prime.
Sean Prime. Yep. That's
Breedlove
Breedlove and Paglia.
Oh my gosh.
And for all that happening, that 21 looks relatively clean. Look at, oh my gosh, that's Bob Seminara back there doing a little seal move on his nose.
Ulysses did a little nose tornado there.
Hagelin's on his roof.
Oh Lord, my question is, did Cody Lamas make it through this? If he was on the lead,
was probably nowhere in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he probably wasn't. Slow motion. I'd love to see slow motion right here. Just going in and got right there. Yep, bad bump. And I'm sure he was being pushed by the 84. It'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see who they place the blame on that on. Because I think Dante finished third. And if they somehow put that on the, if they put that on Dante for pushing, because he could have very easily been pushing the 15 into him. Not that I'm saying that's what happened. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I mean, or the 1. Look at the chain bumping right here.
Everyone was shoving, yeah.
I do slow-mo because I want to see this.
Slow-mo? Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you can, I was going to say focus on maybe the 84 and the 1, but like we're going in right. Oh, maybe not. That
no, the 84 was never on the back bumper of the 15.
Oh, look at it. Well, there's an invisible wall. That's why he didn't clear the track.
Oh, Shelton went up and over, too. She got T-boned by Donnie Garrett. There's Hagelin barrel rolling.
Hagelin's hold my beer. Got this.
Ulysses actually was up on his roof for a brief moment. He's lucky he got that thing back turned over onto his wheels.
why don't we ride on board with the 88 at Grant Wesley? Let that be our last replay for now, and then we'll check and see what's going on. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop up on the car real quick for you guys.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he let off, but you can see he very much didn't exactly. We're all right there. If Jess wasn't right there, oh my gosh. If Jess wasn't right there, Grant would have made it through that. And I'm not saying it's Jess's fault. I'm just pointing out the obvious
and also
and
too, we've seen where drivers, they'll make contact like that with another driver and they just bounce off and keep going. Sometimes
he
it
was
just
trying.
depends on the angle.
Yeah, right there.
He sees Ulysses going by.
Oh, and then right there too. I don't know if he got spun by Breedlove again or if he,
this is what happens to people who steal other cars off of pit road in practice.
Look at the blown engine up here. Who's that? Who is that?
That was Dennis McCarthy.
Well, they're on the last lap.
You got the wounded warriors here at the back. All just trying to make it to the conclusion. There's McCarthy. Smoking, trying to make his way back there. Ulysses down on the apron. I mean, that car is all used up.
Cody at 13. He's still going to get a top 15 out of it, though, so it's not a terrible points day for him.
Could have been a lot worse.
Compared to all the cars that were involved in that were playoff contenders.
Yeah, as far as the playoff drivers involved there, it looks like Sandoval will be 13th, Grant will be 16th. I think those might have been the only two playoff drivers involved in that wreck, which seems hard enough to believe. Terry Bombard, looks like was going to finish outside of the top 20. He actually got through that wreck, or at least got through with minimal damage. He worked his way up to finish in 11th, so his fortunes turned there. And it looks like 5 of our top 6 are all going to be playoff drivers. McClure, Jeffries 1st and 2nd, Schilling, Metallic, Novsker 4th through 6th. Dante, the only non-playoff driver that'll be up here in the top 5. Up until that massive wreck, we had only had 2 cautions here tonight. Only one of them for cause. The other one was a mechanical failure. But that massive wreck right there could have played a huge part into who is going to be positioned where in respect to that 8th in the standings cut line going into next week's elimination race. Chuck McClure won't have to worry about that, though, as he's going to come down here to the start-finish line, and he's going to pick up his 2nd win on the season. He won to start off the regular season. He'll win to start off the playoffs. He automatically locks into the round of 8 with the victory here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Chuck McClure leading a race-high 15 laps. As a matter of fact, amongst the top 3 finishers here tonight, they ended up leading a combined 40 of the 66 laps.
Nice.
Chuck McClure going to be bringing it around here to do some burnouts. Chuck started these playoffs in the 6th seed, was actually tied for 5th with Josh Metallic. Ended up having 15 bonus points to start this off for finishing 6th in overall standings. 3 points for his victory in the season opener. Doesn't matter now. He's locked into the next round of the playoffs as the celebration begins here on the front stretch, exiting the tri-oval. Chuck McClure going to be going to victory lane here momentarily, celebrating his 2nd win on the season. Former champion of the series looking to hoist that trophy once again. And it looks like that might be it for his burnout there. As we'll now take a look at the finishing results from this one. Highlight where the playoff drivers all finished. As mentioned, 5 of them in the top 6. McClure, Jeffries, Schilling, Metallic, Novsker. Dante Ricky completes the podium in 3rd after leading 13 laps here tonight. Jeff Crivello, great run for him as he'll finish in 7th. Donnie Garrett in 8th. Doug Hewlick 9th. And Mike Mangialardi, good run there in 10th. Terry Bombard, as mentioned, finished a lot higher than where he was projected to finish had that wreck not taken place. He'll get 11th. Brian Rawson in 12th. Ulysses Sandoval will finish in 13th with Randy Waugh in 14th.
Luigi.
Dennis McCarthy had that blown motor, but he was able to nurse it across the line for 15th. Grant Wesley in 16th. Richard Martin with 17th, Greg Lovell 18th, then John Godfrey and Robert Breedlove were the last drivers to finish on the lead lap in 19th and 20th.
Gilbert Godfrey.
Rodney Sullins, tough break for him there with that speeding penalty, but he'll finish the best of the lap down cars in 21st, so the gap from him to 8th may not be nearly as bad as it could have been. Bobby Farrell, Bob Dixon, Ray McDonald, and Cody Lamas, your top 50 or top 25. Well, I'm losing it now. Help, Michael. 26th for Robert Spring in his debut. Cy Jones,
You got this.
Pat McCarskey, Billy Elliser, and Ron Hagelin were the last drivers to finish this race, with Sean Prime out of the race in 31st. That's one of our playoff drivers, so he'll be quite a ways behind the cut line. Mark Paglia, Jessica Schulten, Bob Seminara, Craig Hagley, Denny Carroll. We saw him retire out of the race with about 5 laps to go. 36th for him, another driver that will be below the cut line. Brian Lovell, David Cannon, Greg Palmer with a mechanical failure, another playoff driver that may find himself in a must-win next week. And Bernie Mobbs had a mechanical failure as well that brought out our second caution, finishing in the 40th position. There's got to be a lot of movement. I think we can kind of eyeball that there are going to be a few drivers that are going to be below the cut line going into next week. Sullins, Prime, Carroll, and Palmer for sure. Question will be, what kind of a gap will they have to make up points-wise to get themselves at least up above the 8th in the standings cut line going into next week? We'll maybe have that information for you here tonight at the conclusion of our coverage from our first playoff race. But that takes us now into our FRN post-race wind-down, and it's time to dial up our podium finishers. Let's start with the driver that brings home in 3rd place, the highest finisher of the non-playoff contenders this evening. Let's get a hold of Dante Ricky.
User was moved to
Hey
your
Dante,
channel.
Michael and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Hey guys, good evening.
We saw a lot of speed out of this number 84 right from the get-go, took the lead, commanded it for a good portion of this race, and in the conversation for this one late, the problem is there's only like 4 of you up there, and you kind of spread out, having to first get yourselves wadded up again before you can generate a run. Anything that you could have maybe in hindsight done differently there to try and snipe this victory, or was that the only move you had, was to try and get to the left rear, try and get the inside line?
You know, Seth and Mike, Wawa car was a rocket tonight. It was one of the fastest that I've ever driven at PSR. And being on the part-time schedule, I do feel rusty at times, but situations like that, you're always going to be on your game and you're always going to be full focused. I'll tell you what, though, after the last pit stop, me and Jeremy Jeffries had really worked together well. We didn't want to lose each other. The last pit stop was crucial. I had Ulysses behind me. I had to burp the throttle to catch him. Otherwise, I would have been off to the races with everybody freight training me. The tag team of Chuck McClure, Brian Schilling, the 088 Tim Nosker, and a few others in that core group, those guys were working together extremely closely. There was a point early in the race where, when I had gotten, I think it was after the first restart, before the second caution, I got up to the middle line, and the decision by, I'm just going to call it that group, was let's put Dante in the middle, send him back. Well, that group didn't gain a single position. I have to be a little brutally honest about it, just to end up finding me after the pit stop and later in the race. So things like that, when we come out of the pit road and I have to choose between bottom and top, and I realize the inside line's not going anywhere, and I have to make that decision, do I make the move up to the middle? Well, what do those guys do early in the race? It's a little bit of brutal honesty. So my goal, last 10 laps, 9 laps, 8 laps, no, we're going to stay on the bottom. We're going to fight the position rights for the leader. Well, yeah, I took a risk there and lost a couple spots on the short term. Randy Waugh had been in the bottom, made the move to the middle, made the move back down. Sean Prime made the move to the middle, made the move back down, and I was able to link up with Sean. And Sean and I were pushing really good, had Jeremy behind me, made up some ground, had Randy in front. And sure enough, we're down under 5 to go. Chuck throws a block, which was great. And we get into the corner, and sure enough, all chaos ensues. And now we're in a want to call it a crummy situation. No one wants to be in this spot where the race leader misses the crash, the next guy misses the crash is 1 second back, the third place car is a second back, and you've got 3/4 of a lap to go. It's a very difficult situation. And coming down the back straight, I knew I would have a run to look under Chuck or over Chuck, whatever I wanted. The decision I had to make, though, was to go under for 2 reasons. Number one, if I had gone over, Chuck would likely be either in lane 3 or lane 4, in which lanes 2 and 1 are open on the bottom for Jeremy, in which either he goes to the middle or to the bottom, and there's a block, or somebody gets wrecked, and it would have been either way. I told myself I need to sneak a move to the bottom and just hope I get a little help. But the bottom line was this: it was a real close call off 4, and I'm grateful we all made it to the finish. Chuck drove a hell of a race, and good job to him for making that happen. I'm just being brutally honest here as to how I strategized in the race tonight, and I think that being part-time kind of gives me a slightly different perspective on the race, as opposed to running them full-time. But I also don't want to interfere with anybody's points position, and the guys who have been in here week in and week out and work really hard. I am pretty aggressive, I'll be honest about that, but I really enjoy this, even at this point in time in the situation I'm in.
You know, a word that you mentioned there was risk, and I've talked about this when we've covered this series and the first race of the playoffs. A lot of the playoff contenders, they almost treat this race as a must-win situation, so that way they can lock themselves into the next round of the playoffs. On the flip side, you've got drivers like yourself. You don't have the championship hanging in the balance, so it gives you that freedom to be more aggressive. With what we saw here, the close side-by-side, 2 wide all the way through the field, and a lot of playoff contenders in the mix here. Did you get the sense as well that the risk was worth it here for a lot of these playoff drivers, racing it up hard, trying to get that golden ticket into the next round? And being a non-playoff driver, how do you approach something like that?
Well, within reason, you want to stay with your friends, and you want to find people you can push well with and work well together with. And the goal, when you get down to the end of the race, is to all line up in the same lane, so that when you do need to make a block or move, you have a little bit more freedom to your advantage. You have some buffer zone. You have some space on the car in front of you. And you also know from earlier in the race what moves you made that put you in a bad position. And more or less, I was very reluctant to go up to the middle with the fear that there would become a third line. And the way the BSR track works, the inside line is far more superior. The same is true on Talladega, but in BSR especially, it seems like that the middle loses quite a bit of momentum. Now, the difference here is we had some really strong people in all the lanes tonight, and the last 10 laps of the race were a challenge to position yourself just right and stack the cars where you wanted. But it does give you some incentive to go out there and race instead of just sit and ride. But I will say that sitting and riding is a part of the routine until it's go time.
Yeah, we definitely kind of got the sense of when everybody collectively felt like it was go time. You could kind of feel the aggressive level ramping up just a little bit. Pushes were becoming shoves, and eventually, as well, we end up seeing the end result with that massive wreck. But a great run for you here tonight. Had that car up front all night long. As you mentioned, when we saw you fade back, you were able to make it back up to the front on pit road strategy, good execution on that money stop, and you bring it home solidly inside of the third position. Congratulations on the great run here tonight. Before we let you go, Dante, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, I want to thank David Cannon and Sean Prime and everyone who runs this league, their heart and soul going into it. This is one of the best places to race here at RTG, and being a longtime member, it is definitely a good time to spend no matter what night of the week we're able to do things. I also want to thank my mom, dad, brother, and sister who always are there for me, and all of my friends and family members and relatives and everyone too numerous to name. Really want to thank, and this is kind of a thing from the weekend. I want to thank Denny Carroll. I want to give him a shout out. I really felt bad about the end of the firecracker race when I got a little tired and gave him a bad bump in the corner and stacked everybody up at Daytona. I still feel a little bit upset about that. I'm sorry, Denny. But beside the point, I'm sorry you couldn't get to the finish. And a lot of guys, Greg Palmer too, blowing the motor tonight. He and I were always right in it and together in the beginning of the event. And I want to thank you guys as well as broadcasters. And just remember, there is such a thing as soccer played on a hockey rink in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Remember that was a conversation from
I
a
do
few weeks
remember
ago.
that. I do
All
remember
right.
that.
So yeah, I do watch you guys very often. So and you both do a great job. Mike, you too, man. Always great.
Well, we appreciate that, Dante. Congratulations once again. The great run here tonight. Solid run here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Best of luck here the remainder of the season here as well.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to try and get to victory lane. Didn't make last year's All-Star race. That's kind of unfortunate. We got to try and get in next year. See you
There
guys.
you go. Dante Ricky, your third place finisher here
User
tonight.
disconnected from your channel.
Normally don't think about that too. Brings up good points. You win a super speedway race here in this series, and you're automatically locked into the All-Star race for next season. So more extra incentive for drivers to try and find victory lane. Let's see if we can get a hold of the driver that brought home second place here tonight. That'd be Jeremy Jeffries.
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Jeremy,
channel.
Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hello, guys.
Hey, second place here tonight in the opener of the playoffs. Heck of a try right there on that outside line, trying that 3-wide move coming through the tri-oval. It looked like you had the momentum there. Did you need more racetrack, or did the momentum just stall out at some point there? Because it looked like for a moment both the 17 and the 84 lost their momentum, and you might have been in the catbird seat.
Yeah, I think I just had to take the longer way around, and I didn't have enough momentum to make up for the distance. So I was going for it, though. I gave it a try.
You had a win coming into the playoffs. You were the number 4 seed once everything was reformatted. I mentioned about this at the top of the night. Seems like you playoff contenders, when we come to this first playoff race, you guys are of the mentality of almost tunnel vision, almost must-win scenario. Was that the case here? Obviously, we saw you have the opportunity to go for that victory, but we saw as well a lot of pushing and shoving with a lot of playoff contenders there in those respective lines. Was that the goal, to put the car in victory lane, get that automatic ticket, or were you in some portions of that final run thinking about big picture and maybe just, if you didn't have the car that was able to win, accumulating the most points as possible?
Well, that final run there, I was stuck down at the bottom, and I was pushing Dante for a long time, and then I think Sean and Randy ended up coming down and joining us, and we actually pushed right up to pretty much even with the front. But there was nowhere to go, so I was pushing the heck out of the cars in front of me, just trying to get them to go somewhere, because that's the only way I was going to make up positions. And so we did a really good job. I was pushing and pushing and pushing, and then somewhere along the line, I think there was a push that went bad, and I was lucky enough to miss the wreck.
Yeah, very lucky to miss that wreck. When we watched the replay, he almost got clipped there, but able to get through it, bring it home with a solid run of second. Some good points as well. So we talk about the fact all during the regular season, nobody seemed to really be safely locked into a playoff spot through points. If you won, you were locked in, but the points always seemed to be just so close, and there were only 39 points separating the 13 drivers here with the reformatted playoff standings, and I'm expecting that the points are probably going to be close going into next week. But does a second place give you, do you think, a little bit of breathing space for next week, or do you think it's still going to be where you got to go out there, maybe at least finish inside the top 5, top 10, make absolutely certain if you don't win next week at Talladega that you're secured into the next round?
If the points are correct, right now I've got a 41 point cushion. So I'm feeling pretty good. But that being said, it's depending on who shows up next week, and, you could be the first car out. You never know. So I'm feeling pretty good about moving on to the next round. Second is definitely what we needed if we couldn't get a win. And yeah, I think we'll be seeing you in round 2. Hopefully I can get a win next week and secure that spot for sure, but I'm feeling confident.
Great points tonight for you. As you mentioned, you are correct. Have a nice buffer there, back to 8th in the standings, and more than likely going to be able to move on to the next round. Hey, maybe gives you a little bit of security there as well to be aggressive next week. See if you can pick up a second trip to victory lane here in season 65. But great run for you here tonight. Kept it up front there in the closing stages. Executed on that final pit stop as well. That got you that track position, and then able to bring it home solidly on the podium. Before we let you go here, Jeremy, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
All right. Well, congratulations to Chuck. That's got to feel good knowing he's on to the next round for sure. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast, and Sean, Bones, the owners, Tim, Josh, and Rodney for running this series on Thursday nights. It's been freaking phenomenal for the many years I've been running it, and it continues to be that way. Thanks to everybody that makes the broadcast possible: Bob and Tom Dixon, Rodney Sullins and Sullins Paints, and Donnie Garrett. Ultimate Garage Floors. Wouldn't have you all here without them, so it's pretty awesome they do that. And thank you to my family, my friends, and everybody out there watching tonight.
As Jeremy Jeffries, second place here this evening, second highest finisher of the playoff contenders. Nice cushion over that 8th in the standings cut line heading into next week as he looks to move on to the round of 8 at next week's elimination race at Talladega Superspeedway. Congratulations on the great run tonight. Best of luck next week as we get ready to close out this round of 13.
All right, thank you guys.
And let's see if we can now go
User
down
was
to
moved out of
victory
your
lane,
channel.
dial up another multi-time winner now on the season in Chuck McClure.
User was moved to your
Hey
channel.
Chuck, it's Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
How's it going, guys?
Hey man, I'll tell you what, first races of regular season and playoff season, this 17 has been stellar. You got that first checkered flag all the way back to the beginning of the season to lock yourself here into the playoffs. Rode some good momentum latter portion of the regular season as well, and it translates over to a victory here in the first race of the playoffs. You're going into the round of 8. It's got to be a load off your shoulders, but how much of a sigh of relief were you breathing there too, coming back to the start-finish line? Because you had them on the top, you had them on the bottom, making their way through the tri-oval.
I knew I was a sitting duck coming back to the yellow flag, and if it wasn't for my teammates keeping me up there, we wouldn't even be talking. That's for them. They got me here, and I cannot say enough how much I appreciate it.
Something I have to observe here. I mentioned about the runs you've had down this home stretch. If we look at your last 4 races, including tonight, 5th, 2nd, 5th, and a victory, your starting positions, it's crazy. 35th, 34th, 34th, and 31st here tonight. You've had to pass a lot of cars to be able to get up here to the front at the end of these races. What have you been able to find that's been able to gain you that track position to get up there? Because we've talked about the parity for a lot of drivers here this season. Why the points have been so close together is the drivers not been able to find consistency, and a lot of that is due in part to where the random qualifying draw puts them in the field. Looks like you have found a secret here when you start deep in the field of being able to find your way to the front and stay at the front.
Well, honestly, I try to seek out the guys I run well with, especially my teammates, and try to avoid a bunch of wrecks. I think that first caution, it was pretty big, and I gained a lot of spots there, and I really never gave it up. So that was cool. I didn't really want to be back there anyway. There's a lot of bad things happening back there.
Opportunity as well to be able to win another championship here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Next week we go to Talladega. You're already locked into the round of 8, so what do we do when we get there? Because that's where pretty much everything's taking place here this season. We started out the season, we ended the regular season there. It's where the elimination races are taking place. So do we do some experimentation there? Do we just go all out, try and pick up another victory and have 3 on the season? What is the strategy now that you've got the pressure off your shoulders knowing you're moving on?
Well, we're probably going to try some fuel mileage stuff. Definitely going to help the teammates try to stay up in the top 8, and probably take a little bit more chances toward the finish, but not take any stupid chances on knocking somebody out.
Well, Chuck, congratulations on the victory here tonight. First victory here in the playoffs, an automatic lock into the round of 8. We look forward to seeing what you're doing next week at Talladega, and we'll let you get back to your celebrating here tonight. But before we do, we're going to hand the mic over to you for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Well, I really appreciate everything RTG does for us, and you guys at Race LM or RLM, sorry, FRN. I'm just so shook up about finally getting relief here that I'm
There's a lot of
tongue-tied.
letters out there.
Yeah, everybody in the alphabet, I guess. But Rodney for the paint, man, this thing is sweet. It's fast. I hated to pass him there to give him a bonus point, but they said he had a black flag. That's why I passed him. I was going to go ahead and let him get a lap led, but everybody back here home watching, people at Marshall County Schools where I work, just everybody that watches and supports us, I appreciate.
Well, we know one of the drivers that will be representing in the next round of the playoffs is going to be Chuck McClure. He picks up the victory here tonight in the first playoff race of the season. Congratulations on a job well done. Best of luck next week as you prepare for that upcoming second round of the playoffs in a couple weeks' time.
I appreciate it, guys.
Chuck McClure, your winner
User
here
was
tonight,
moved out of
becomes
your
only the
channel.
third driver to go to victory lane multiple times this season, joining Ulysses Sandoval and Tim Nofsker. Michael, the points are in, and while it's close amongst drivers up there in around the top 3, 4, 5, 6, there is quite a huge gap down there to that 8th in the standings cut line. Brian Schilling is just above. Brian Lovell is the cut line driver, and then you've got, it looks like, about anywhere from 7 to 10 points. Terry Bombard, Greg Palmer, Rodney Sullins, Sean Prime, and Denny Carroll going into next week. So it looks like, at least for half of the playoff drivers, just have a solid day. Finish maybe top 10, top 15, you're going to be okay. But for that half dozen drivers down there, it's going to be really close. And if we continue to have the big fields that we've had all season long, there's a lot of points on the table. You can have one bad race. You can't afford to have a second.
Yeah, absolutely not. You got to gain as much as you can, and it hurts. But on the opposite side of that, it's just as easy to lose points as my voice. I just lost my voice apparently. But it's a struggle with full field to gain positions, but it's very easy to lose them. So you can't really afford to have a bad day.
Something else I noticed here as well. Yes, we had that massive wreck there that ended this race, but prior to that, we had only had one other caution come out for a wreck. The other caution was for a mechanical failure. Put a lot more emphasis on pit road and the execution of pit road strategy and making sure you didn't speed, all those different facets of green flag pit stops. Do we expect to see a continuing trend like that next week here when we get to Talladega Superspeedway?
I don't know. The tracks look the same, but race completely different. So, Seth, it's really hard to tell.
Certainly is. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens here. We know that at least Chuck McClure will be moving on to the round of 8. 7 more drivers will join him. 1 potentially could win their way into the next round next week. A minimum of 6 will have to point their way into the next round. We will wait and see who those drivers will be. Thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight from Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations once again to Chuck McClure on the victory here tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed our coverage of this race. We'll see you guys next week at Talladega Superspeedway, where we will whittle down our original 13 playoff contenders. I didn't even think of that. I hate you. We will shrink. Here, try and find a song for that. Our original 13 drivers down to our Elite 8 for the second round of the playoffs as we get ready for our elimination race at Talladega. Playoff race number 2 next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks to Michael Norm for joining me up here in the booth. Thanks to everybody for tuning into our coverage here tonight. We'll see you guys next week.
I know, I'm pretty awesome, aren't I?
You are awesome. But you're not the Miz. But thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you guys next Thursday night as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
I share his first name.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your